How's it going, guys? Cameron here, Canadian Gamer, back at you with another Coffee and Conversation episode. As you can see here, I'm in my backyard, and I have the camera flipped around facing the yard, but my shitty smartphone that I have, when the sun glare hits the camera, you can't really see me, so I had to flip it around. But yeah, not much going on. I got to cut the backyard today, a lot of yard work to do, so that's the docket for today. And my boss got a hold of me today, and it looks like back to work for me. The Ontario economy is ramping back up here as the amount of new cases for COVID-19 begins to slow down. So that's good to see that the economy is reopening. It's good for everybody. But today I wanted to talk about, I thought it was a cool conversation. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments, but you know, comparing the Game Boy Advance, the GBA, to the SNES. The reason why I say that, I have been playing my GBA quite a bit lately, but oftentimes the GBA is considered, you know, almost like the sister console to the SNES. They bear a lot of similarities. Now, funny known fact, the GBA is actually considered a 32-bit console, as hard as that is to believe. You can't really tell too much when you play the games. It's odd. I find a lot of times with the GBA, sometimes you see the graphics are obviously better than the Super NES in certain instances, but I wouldn't say they're as good as 32-bit. Obviously, I have to condense it to fit on that small screen, so a lot of the graphics are downscaled. But then some other games, especially the ports of a lot of the SNES games, they actually look downgraded on the GBA, like the Donkey Kong Country series. So it's a good conversation, at least I thought it was. So talking about, again, GBA versus the SNES, which console do you think is the better console out of the two? Again, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer here. I guess it's all a matter of opinion. But me having had the luxury of owning both consoles, I can probably safely say the SNES has the better catalog of games. There's a lot of shovelware on the Game Boy Advance. To be honest with you, I don't have a lot of GBA games. Most of the games I play on my GBA are original Game Boy games. That being said, there are a lot of good games on the GBA. Metroid, Zero Mission, and obviously Metroid Fusion are two of the best games on the console. As well as the Game Boy Advance Castlevania exclusive. And again, there's quite a few SNES ports as well. So, I mean, for me personally, I think the SNES is the better console. But which one do I prefer? The GBA. You're able to play it on the go. Excellent battery life. Some decent SNES ports. There are, again, some hidden gems on the console, and I'm just having a blast with it. So, again, some of the games that came out on the GBA, you know, around 2000, 2001 as an example, you have to imagine some of those games, if they would have come out on the SNES, how big of a hit they would have been, like Wario Land 4. It's a pretty popular game, but could you imagine if that would have came out on the SNES? It would have been incredible. So, like I said, it's all a matter of taste, personal taste, personal opinion. Again, I prefer the GBA, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to get back into collecting for the SNES. It's too expensive. The GBA is expensive enough as it is, but it's still much more inexpensive than collecting for the Super NES. And like I said, although the back catalog is not as rich on the GBA, in my opinion, there are still quite a few excellent games for the console. Like I said, the Super NES, those days have long passed as far as collecting is concerned. The price is so expensive, but like I said, there are certain games on the SNES. Obviously, you got the Illusion of Gaia's, you know, you got the Chrono Triggers and all the rest that you can't play on the GBA. But the GBA is no slouch. It's got Link to the Past, it's got Donkey Kong Country, it's got some of the heavy hitters. So I would like to get the fat model GBA because my hands are obviously pretty big, but it doesn't have the backlit screen like the AGS 101 model has, unless you obviously bought it. So again, it's a good conversation to have. Again, I think the Super NES has the better back catalog, but as a whole, I prefer the GBA. So that's my thoughts on it, especially again the backwards compatibility. And I know the SNES had the Super Game Boy as well, but it's again not quite the same. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this. What console do you think is the better console, the GBA or the SNES? So leave it in the comments below. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care.